What's going on, everyone? So the San Antonio Spurs are really starting to shape up, right? NBA draft comes, they end up getting Stephon Castle. Still kind of question the move of the 8th pick. Now, sure that the Spurs have some level of plan. I'm sure that they have a play in place. Not necessarily saying that they're going to do something today or even this offseason period, but I'm sure that they're stacking assets to maybe go find that complementary piece that becomes available, right? Spurs, I would imagine, want to try to expedite this process ASAP, but they need to find that balance of patience and wait for the right play. If a guy is there, you take him, and boom, all of a sudden, maybe you're a contender. Kind of see what these guys shape up to be. You're not winning a championship this year, but you really put yourself in a position to have more success, but really get these guys in a position of just winning, right? And the reason I feel this way is because of Chris Paul. I think there's a lot of people that are excited that Chris Paul is a Spur. A lot of Spurs fans are, rejoicing right now, but a lot of people aren't. And a lot of people are like, oh, this is so silly. Paid him $11 million, this, that, and the other. But this was huge for the Spurs. And I mean huge. This might end up being one of the best decisions the Spurs could make, simply on the fact of what the impact Chris Paul's going to have, not just right now, but long term, right? And I know a lot of people look at it as like, oh, well, a year, he's only here for a season, so like how much of an impact can he have? I mean, a season is literally the difference between guys emerging and becoming stars and not. I mean, a lot happens in a year. Right? It's years you all of a sudden you look up and SGA is a top player in this league. And it's like the year before he wasn't, right? And look, I'm not saying that Chris Paul is just all of a sudden going to turn Castle into a top 5 guy or anything like that. But what he brings and the mentoring and the skill set and being able to get guys prepared. I mean, even SGA talks heavily about how much of an impact Chris Paul had on him. And it's not like Chris Paul was there for 10 years and it just was mentoring, SGA the entire time. No, it's just, but it was what the way he looks at the game, the adult in the room. And you're talking about a Spurs team that's incredibly young. Talk about a Spurs team that doesn't really understand the NBA to the level in which Chris Paul does, just because Chris Paul has those experiences. And I know people look at it, oh, Chris Paul's never won a championship, this, that, and the other. Doesn't mean that he wasn't one of the peak players in this league. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have the knowledge and IQ and understanding of the game and how, offenses flow and defenses flow and positioning and the way that this guy should be. And he's going to be able to be an extension to Greg Popovich in so many ways, as well as still have an impact on the basketball court. Talk about a guy that is going to not only be able to help in development, it's why you're paying him $11 million. Who else are you getting? You're not winning a championship this year anyway. Giannis isn't just magically going to walk through the door tomorrow and you're getting all these guys and now Spurs are the championship contender that everyone wants them to be a couple years from now. No, it's about the process. And this is a huge step in the right direction of that process because now Chris Paul gets to take his time building with these guys. Maybe they keep him another year. We don't know. It's just momentarily. We'll see what next offseason brings and if the Spurs find that next move or if it is one of those things where it's like, okay, like let's give it another year or look at what Chris Paul was able to do with Castle. Like, look at what Chris Paul was able to do with these various players that you have, right? Because the reason I keep mentioning Castle is because a lot of people think that he's going to eventually be the point guard. And if that's the case, there's not very many point guards in the history of the league that are better than Chris Paul. So what he brings, not only to just the mentorship, but also the basketball, right? Like, he is going to make life so incredibly easy for Victor Wembanyama. He is going to put Victor in the best positions possible. He's going to get Victor the ball in his spots every single time, like a machine, right? Like that in and of itself is going to be huge and has the potential to unlock Victor Wembanyama even further, right? Because you have a guy who already had an extraordinary rookie season. And I don't even know, like countless times a game, he might as well not even have been on the court. I mean, the team completely phased him out, or he'd get the ball just in like terrible positions and have to bail out and do all this stuff. And it's like, he might average 30 next year just because of what Chris Paul's going to give him. I mean, Victor Wembanyama is going to get the easiest looks. He's going to get, the pick and roll actions, the pick and pop actions, like him just being a lob threat with his 8-foot wingspan. I mean, it's almost terrifying what Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama as a pairing would be able to do. And people, he's injury prone, he's this, that, and the other. It doesn't matter. Again, the Spurs are not looking to win a championship this season. They're looking to start putting their players in position to have success and grow and start understanding winning and building that mentality and that culture and that structure to advance and go forward for year 2, 3, 4. And now it's like, okay, now we're one of the top teams in the league and now we're winning 2, 3, 4, 5 championships. Like that's what this is the beginning stages of, right? Chris Paul's probably not going to be there when the Spurs win their first championship, but it's about what he can, the roots that he can help lay, the foundation that he can help lay that will last, and the progress that Castle will learn if he is going to take on that point guard role, or Jones, who, whether he becomes a backup or, eventually starting, just think of what he could do for him. Or Vassell, or whomever, right? You name it. This is huge for this team. And a guy that's going to make things so easy for everyone else, but also is going to be able to show how you're supposed to treat your star. Chris Paul knows Victor Wembanyama is a star and is the best player and is the guy that needs to be taking the most shots and needs to have the ball in his hands majority of the time. Chris Paul is going to show the rest of the team, this is how you do this. And that has value in and of itself. The Spurs are going to win a bunch of games that they wouldn't have won otherwise just because Chris Paul's on the court. Because of what he's still one of the best floor generals in the league. The guy is still incredible. And if he misses a week or a month or whatever because of injuries, it's not the end of the world for a team like the Spurs. Because again, they're not trying to win a championship this year. And Chris Paul can still be a mentor, while, sitting on the bench. Like, it's more than just what he brings on the basketball court. They gave him $11 million. That $11 million will pay more dividends than you would giving that to anyone else. Like, who are you getting for that $11 million? That's not just like a now piece, but also a future piece, and is also going to take the time to have that. Chris Paul is coming in with the understanding of the situation. Chris Paul is coming in knowing, like, okay, they're paying me this so I can be a mentor, right? So I can help these guys out. And he also, worst case, can become a trade chip. $11 million expiring trade chip. This is huge. Huge for the Spurs. And I'm really excited to see, like, what he does, particularly for Victor Wembanyama. Right? And I'm curious to see what's the Spurs' plan? Like, is Chris Paul going to start? Are they going to go, like, the route with Castle? Is he going to get to play point guard? Are they going to kind of have him maybe as, like, the 2 guard or the 3? Like, is Jones going to, like, how are they going to structure this? You can't do the Sohan, point forward experiment. That doesn't work. So, to me, the way I look at it is like, okay, Greg Popovich is really going to have to work out, how do I want to structure this? How do I want to have the rotation, but still be able to give the young guys the opportunity to shine? Because you don't want it to just, okay, Chris Paul, just go out there and dominate, and you and Wemby are just the 1-2 punch all game. Right? You can do that to an extent, but you also want Castle in his rookie season to have real opportunity and shine and kind of go through his lumps and have his struggles and and have to kind of navigate through that. But it's also good to have a guy like Chris Paul that can pull him aside and go, hey, it's okay. Yeah, you missed that shot, take it again. Oh, you missed it again, take it again. Right? Like, to instill that confidence in these guys. Because you got to understand, these guys are young. It's a very young basketball team that has a ton of upside, a ton of talent, and Chris Paul gets to come in and, again, be that adult in the room that can really have an impact both on and off the floor. And that is, again, invaluable. And it's just 1 year. It's a placeholder. Like, where else are you delegating that salary? Nowhere. So you're in good shape. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think, Chris Paul is huge for this team and the impact that he's going to be able to provide and what he will do for, Victor Wembanyama in particular, Stephon Castle, all these guys? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.